The world's fastest man is Usain Bolt. Now imagine a race where Usain Bolt and I are running together and I say that I can actually beat Usain Bolt. I know what's going through your mind right now. You'll be like, yeah, what is this guy saying? How can somebody beat the world's fastest man? I'm telling you that it's possible. The only criteria that I have is if Usain Bolt runs in the wrong direction. That's it. And I will win. Now, it might seem funny, but it's actually the case for some businesses. Businesses that actually focus on the wrong things and then they start optimizing and making those things more efficient. But in the end, it's the wrong thing that you're focusing on. Now that is what we're going to talk about today. Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Alvin Poh. I put out videos like this to help you, the entrepreneur, the founder, the business owner. I want to help you super scale your business and get it to the next level. Now all this is not fluff. It's not coming out of thin air. These are lessons and experiences that I got from my 20 years of entrepreneurship, growing my business and scaling it myself. I grew and scaled Vodian, the business that I ran, from 0 to $30 million. Now I want to help you as well. I want to show you the lessons that I went through, the things that I gained, the experiences that I went through, and hopefully this helps you. Today we're going to talk about the fifth principle in my super scaling methodology, the 5E scale engine. If you haven't, go get a book. It's detailed inside the book. We have previous videos that I can probably link somewhere telling you about principles 1 to 4. Today we're going to cover the fifth principle. Principle number 5 is all about execution. It is the principle of execute. And in this principle, we want to make sure that we start optimizing and making things more efficient in our organizations. The principle or the framework that I use for this is called the RSAD framework. ARSAD. Now it stands for analyze, remove, simplify, automate, and delegate. It didn't really start like that. It took me a while to really piece together all these different pieces and really understand how I went about things in the past. The things that I did wrongly and the things that I did correctly. And so this framework that I created is now something that you can use because you now know the exact steps to go through. So let's dive into it. RSAD. The first step that you need to do is analyze. That's literally the most important thing that you need to do. Just like how we get into a race with Usain Bolt or whoever it is, we want to make sure that we are doing the right things. We want to make sure that we run in the right direction. We know the map. We know exactly where to go, what to do, what to wear. All the rules and regulations. All those things need to be absolutely clear. In analyze, that's what we want to do. We want to look at the processes, the SOPs, the systems or lack thereof in our businesses and understand why certain things are being done, why certain things are not being done, and really try to identify any obstacles, any choke points, any problems, any issues, any recurring problems that are there, and we try to not solve it at this point of time, but try to understand why it's there. Once we do that, then we can start moving on to the rest of the steps in the framework. The next thing they want to look at is remove. And there's a reason why remove is the second thing that we do in front of simplify, automate, and delegate. Remove is there because we want to make sure that we can trim out the fat in our organization. Really make sure that all these unnecessary things are removed. There's no point working on simplification or automation or delegation of the wrong things, right? So that's why remove is the very first thing that we do before these other 3 steps. The best analogy that I have about this is cycling. Specifically road cycling. I'm sure you've seen those bikes before. People in really tight spandex going out cycling on very cool and futuristic looking bicycles that are very light as well. and the main point is to get speed and endurance over a long period of time. I think that's great. I know it's a great healthy sport, you go outdoors, and sometimes and you can do it in a group as well, right? So there's the social aspect of it also. What gets me is, if you are a world-class athlete, I don't really have anything to say about it, but if you are a weekend enthusiast, and you're looking at upgrading your performance, or just making things faster, and the first thing that you do is your bike, I'm not sure if that's the best idea. I look at some of these weekend enthusiasts, and they have some of the most expensive bikes ever. The materials used, the technology used are incredible. They are space age, right? And they could be like lighter, stronger, faster materials and technology. In absolute terms, like these things, they shave off like hundreds of grams of weight. And then I look at the rider, the cyclist, and these guys clearly aren't in the best shape of their lives. I'm talking about like paunches and like people who are a little bit chubbier than they should be, and I immediately think that that's a lot of weight that can be removed, rather than spending time, money, resources, upgrading the bicycle instead. I'm not saying that's the wrong thing. I'm just saying that in the whole order of things, sometimes maybe other things can be removed first, right? Like your body fat. And that's what we want to do in our organizations as well. We want to make sure that all these fat, all these unnecessary things are removed. And the way we do that is to really understand why and what everyone in our organization is working on and doing. I'm sure you've seen people who say that they are busy, all day long, all week long, but when you go find out what they are doing and what they are busy with, you realize that they are working on issues or tasks that might have been solved some other way. I remember one of my business friends who said that he went to check in on one of his managers and realized that the team was spending like hours every single week just randomly, not randomly, but just going through like Excel spreadsheets, copying data, like we're talking about thousands of rows of data manually, so that the sales reports can be prepared, so that the prospects could be put into their sales pipeline and worked on. And therefore, in a week, they spend like Mondays and Tuesdays doing all of that manual work, so that they can actually spend I think Wednesday, Thursdays and Fridays doing sales. And there's an incredible amount of time that's spent on these things, these manual tasks. And I am sure that your organization has these as well. It could be, in certain departments, it could be certain individuals that do it. But we've got to find out where they are, and we've got to find out what these processes are, so that we can remove them. Now, once we do that, then we can move on to the other parts of the framework, namely, next, simplify. So let's say we remove all the unnecessary stuff, we remove all the unnecessary processes, now we look at simplify. Now we can understand, hey, how do we make things simple? Right? How is it easy to find? How is it easy to use? How is it easy to understand? How is it more efficient? Right? And that simplification process comes from understanding what's on our plates. Again, it's really understanding like maybe that if people want to like follow SOPs, perhaps it's a better idea to really store it in a repository somewhere, a central repository somewhere, so that all your people on your team can access that repository anytime, whether they are on their mobile phones, whether they are on their desktops, wherever that is, and that they can find the information properly with as little friction as possible. Now, I'm sure you've used software before, software, or you've like stored like files somewhere before, and you don't remember where you kept them, or you don't remember how to use it. That is the feeling that we do not want in our organization, because as humans, as individuals, all these things matter. We want to make sure that there's so little friction that we know exactly where to go, how to find it, how to use it. Yeah, and that's what we want to have in our businesses. So that's why Simplify, again, is so important to have right after we remove all the unnecessary tasks and processes. The fourth thing that we work on is automate. So now that we remove the unnecessary stuff, we've simplified things down, now we can really automate. And if you notice again, this is the sequence that happens. When we look at automation, we look at bringing in computers, bringing in technology to help remove and to help speed up all the manual work that previously was being done in your business. Like in my previous example, it could be, for example, people manually creating reports, or people manually doing anything like copying and pasting of information or values or anything like that, right? When that happens, we can automate it. We can automate it with tools such as Zapier. If you haven't checked out Zapier, go check it out. Zapier is amazing because it's no code. It allows you to connect various services together. For example, if you had a form on Google Form, that information can go to a spreadsheet, and with Zapier, you can take that info from the spreadsheet and maybe email it to someone else. You could take that information from the spreadsheet and maybe insert it into your CRM. You could take that same information and do something with it, right? If, for example, a person signs up, right, and you wanna maybe manually email your supplier, you can do that with Zapier. The whole process, which used to be manual, with someone actually doing it, can be automated. Automation is great because it doesn't just speed up things, it also removes human error. And I think that's one of the more powerful things about automation. Once you have somebody working on like rows of data, no matter how perfect they are, there is that risk of human error. And once we remove that, we realize that performance and results that we have are a lot more consistent. And that's one of the beauties of automation. So after we've done all of that, now we move on to the last step, which is delegate. Delegate is the last because in delegation, the task, the work, still remains in the organization, still is being worked on by someone. And so that's why delegation is always the last. After you've done everything else, right? You've actually removed it, you simplified it, you've automated it as best as you can. Now it comes to this point where you're like, okay, this is something that is probably not best done by me. It's probably better done by someone else, either in terms of function or experience. And with Delegate, we can actually make sure that piece of work, that task, is handed off to the right person. Once again, Delegate is only there after you've gone through everything and you know that this is something that you can actually pass on to somebody who is better, who is more experienced, who is more efficient at the task. And this can happen throughout your organization, not just with you, the business owner, the founder, the entrepreneur, but also within your teams as well. Maybe you realize that one of your team members who's in charge of marketing, needs to schedule posts, right? Or needs to like follow up on certain things. Perhaps they are not the best person for that. Maybe they're more creative and they're better off doing like other marketing tasks. But that process of following up and doing all of those things could be handled by someone else, right? And that's something that Delegate covers. So those are the 5 components of the RSET funnel: analyze, remove, simplify, automate, and delegate. So hopefully you've taken away something from this. If you take part in the race now, I hope that you're running in the right direction. Now, if you like whatever I shared, all these things about super scaling, I need your help. I need your help to like this video. I need your help to share this with someone else who can benefit from all these lessons. I need your help to subscribe so that you'll be notified whenever I put out new videos. This tells me and shows me that the videos that I'm putting out are helpful and are useful to people. Drop me a comment as well. I reply to all the comments. And thank you so much for your time. I really look forward to putting out a new video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.